Once a child is 14 in Pennsylvania, the district has to provide what they call a transition plan for the kid. Now, historically, transition planning was kind of the poor stepchild of special ed. Transition planning in most of the IEPs that I would see involved giving the family the phone number for the Office of Vocational Rehabilitation and mental health, mental retardation. Since 2005, that has changed, and it is really required to be a very robust process now, where you're truly trying to move the child from school to independence. To the maximum extent you can make the child independent and self-sufficient. So there should be assessments specifically to move the child from school to the community. Assessments to move the child from school to work. Assessments to move the child from home to independent living. All of those should be evaluated so that there are, as we say in the trade, baselines. So, okay, this is where the child is functioning now in terms of pre-vocational skills. This is where the child is functioning now in terms of independent living. Can the kid, make scrambled eggs? Can the kid use the kitchen at all? Can the child, what's the functioning of the child with regard to money? All of those things are supposed to be assessed, identified, and then goals developed. All right, at the end of this year, where is this child going to be in terms of each of those areas? And it's really kind of where I think the rubber meets the road in terms of education. We were just going over in my office today a case where we were, the child has autism, age 19, high functioning, and probably will be able to make it in the community, but won't make it in the community unless we prepare them. And again, the historical paradigm of transition was give families access to other agencies who will help you. And that's all changed now. As of 2005, districts are supposed to be taking these kids into the community, putting them with job coaches in businesses, assisting them to have functional skills to make it in the workplace. I was a participant in a seminar last year on transition, especially for kids with autism, and there was a wonderful speaker there who has been doing this kind of transition work for about 20 years. And he said, we will teach kids ad nauseum who are 19 and 20 and have disabilities how to tie their shoes. They're called trials. You'll have a trial of the child try to tie his shoes. And we'll have 500, 1,000 trials on teaching the child to tie his shoes, when what we really need is how to teach him to greet customers when they come in the store, or how to thank the customer after they get paid. I mean, that for children who are on their way into adulthood, that's, as I say, that's where the rubber meets the road. He says, as the speaker said, give them shoes that you don't have to tie, for goodness sakes, and let's teach them how to function with individuals out in the community. And I have seen parents, and sometimes us as well, but I've seen parents have such effective advocacy with just a little bit of guidance on this issue, where 1 year, the child is just wiping down tables in the cafeteria. Has a mental retardation, high functioning level of mental retardation. But the transition plan was, all right, let's have them wipe the tables in the cafeteria. Which, let's face it, I mean, that's a skill even people with mental retardation are going to learn and get down, and then they don't have to really do it another 1,000 times. But with the parents' advocacy, they got a job coach, and the intermediate unit, local intermediate units, have these job coaches. And the family actually found a business that would take the child with the support. And now they did that for 2 years, and now the child has independent employment, working in a local business. Because there are skills that they can do that are useful. and he's part of the community, he can walk to work. Whereas if they hadn't rolled up their sleeves, really, and done something when the child was 19, everybody would have been too happy watching him wipe tables for 2 more years, and then look at him in the rearview mirror. And then what? So transition is really hugely important. And again, it's one of those things that if you're working with a family that has a child like that for whatever reason, whether it's an injury case, whether it's estate planning, to say, and you hear, a gripe that, oh, they have him stapling papers all day, every day, and he's been doing it for 2 years, just to nudge them about, that, hey, transition planning isn't supposed to be that way anymore. And it's been very heartwarming. One of the great things about the area of law I practice in is we get some emotional income as well as some financial income, because we do see that it can make a difference in kids' lives. Every day we really do give a kid or kids chances they wouldn't have had, and that's nice. That's a real benefit, and we get cards back every few months of somebody who was, lost and graduated from college. We had a kid who the parents came in, was in 12th grade, and the parents, for the first time, he'd been in special ed for years, but for the first time realized that he couldn't read beyond a 4th grade level because he couldn't get into trade school. This is a kid with average IQ, 100 IQ. Couldn't read beyond the 4th grade. And they learned it because he couldn't read the manual to get into trade school. And there are programs to teach kids like that to read. They're what they call research-based programs, and there's probably 8 or 10 of them that you can get off the shelf if you're interested. What Works Clearinghouse, put that into Google, and they'll tell you the programs that work to teach those kids to read. Got a letter that he had graduated from college and was doing graduate work at Temple. This is a kid who could only read at the 4th grade level. We got the district to pay for him to go to a private school where they really intensively remediate him. And he's, was able to graduate from college, now doing graduate work. Another kid emotionally was in his room. Literally wouldn't come out for months and months and months. The family found a program for him out in Montana that dealt with that kind of school phobia that he had. The district took us to a hearing. We did prevail and got a card this spring that he'd graduated summa cum laude from a significant state school, nationally renowned state school. He was a very bright kid but couldn't get out. So the point of it is that, just like as I said at the outset, you can push the ball forward for these families, and they're going to be eternally grateful. Okay.